All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into the future. And not just any future, we're talking about the future of AI, but not the scary kind of AI future everyone worries about. This time we're exploring the optimistic view of AI. And our guide for this optimistic adventure is Dario Amodei. You know him, CEO of Anthropic. Huge focus on AI safety, making sure the robots don't turn on us, right?
Right.
So it's pretty wild that he wrote this essay, Machines of Loving Grace. Just the title alone, right?
Yeah, it really jumps out at you.
It's like he's saying, what if we actually get this right?
Yeah,
What if AI isn't the villain but the hero?
exactly. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. It's Amadei, known for being cautious about AI, but he spends all this time exploring what happens if we actually nail it. What if we use AI to solve all our problems?
Yeah, and he gets specific too. He breaks it down into 5 areas where AI could have a massive impact: health, the mind, economics, peace, and work. Like he's mapped out utopia, but powered by algorithms.
And to be fair, he's not saying this utopia is inevitable or anything. He says it's about potential. It all depends on us and the choices we make today about AI.
Okay, so no pressure, got it. But before we get into those 5 areas, when Amodei talks about powerful AI, he uses this phrase, a country of geniuses in a data center. What does that even mean?
He's not talking about our current AI just faster or anything. It's something totally new. It's like all these Einsteins working together in the cloud.
Okay, my brain is melting a little.
Think about the processing power, connecting ideas, solving problems so fast.
Okay, yeah, wow. So he starts with biology and health, and he drops this bomb on us, the compressed 21st century. So, like, time travel.
Not exactly time travel, but kind of. Imagine 50 or even 100 years worth of breakthroughs,
Yeah.
but crammed into the next decade.
Whoa, okay.
Amodei says AI could make the whole scientific process faster. AI as researchers.
Instead of scientists in the lab, we have algorithms.
Yeah. Imagine AI designing experiments, doing the research, even connecting different fields.
Okay, so I have to ask, does this mean diseases today become like history lessons? Like, Grandpa, you're telling me people used to be afraid of the common cold.
It sounds crazy, but look how far we've come. Life expectancy is like double in the last 100 years. Think sanitation, antibiotics, vaccines. Amodei says AI could make things even more dramatic. We might even double it again.
Okay, now that's a long time, but it's not just about living longer, right? It's about being healthy enough to enjoy it.
And that's where Amodei gets really interesting. He says AI could target aging itself. He uses this phrase, biological freedom. It's like we could control our biology.
So not just curing diseases, but making them impossible in the first place.
Well, we might be getting ahead of ourselves a bit.
Okay, fair enough.
But you're getting at what he's saying. It's not just about fixing things, but reimagining what's possible. And it gets even wilder because then he goes beyond the physical. He says AI could revolutionize how we understand the mind.
Okay, now this is getting into matrix territory. What does AI have to do with our brains?
It's like this. As we build better AI, we learn about our own minds too.
So it's like we're holding up a mirror to ourselves by trying to build another mind.
And in that reflection, we might unlock the brain's biggest mysteries: consciousness, how we learn, even emotions and creativity.
Instead of studying the brain from the outside, we use AI to see it from the inside.
Yeah, and think what this means for mental illness. Imagine personalized treatments for things like depression, anxiety, even schizophrenia or bipolar disorder.
That would be a game changer for so many people. Mental illness has been around forever and we barely understand it.
It's more than treating what we have now, though. Amodei talks about enhancing our minds, boosting our creativity, achieving a higher level of mental well-being.
Like having an AI therapist available 24/7. Sign me up for that waiting list. But on a serious note, this is all incredible, but how realistic is it? And what happens to everyone who isn't a scientist or programmer in this future?
You're right to bring it back down to earth. As cool as this all sounds, there are some real-world things to think about.
Well, that's a relief. I was starting to think we were about to meet our robot overlords. So, what are the obstacles on the road to AI utopia?
One thing Amodei says is that it's not going to be instant. Even if AI is super fast, it still takes time to implement all this in the real world.
Right. Building new technology, doing clinical trials, even just getting people on board, that's not an overnight thing.
And then there's the data. AI needs data, and lots of it. But it needs to be good data.
Because bad data means bad results.
Exactly.
It's like trying to bake a cake with rotten eggs and moldy flour, right? No matter how good you are, the cake is going to be terrible.
And then you have the human element. All of AI's potential depends on us. Our choices, our values, and being willing to change.
Yeah, you can't underestimate that.
Amodei says we need ethical rules for AI,
Making sure it's used for good.
so it helps us instead of hurting us.
So we've got time, data, ethics. What else?
One more thing. Even the best technology can be disruptive. And when people feel disrupted, they don't always like it.
Yeah, that's human nature. Look at all the people who still don't trust the internet.
Amadeus says we need to bring everyone along for the ride with AI.
So we need to explain AI.
Be transparent about what it can do and how it works.
So basically, more communication is key.
Amadeus sees AI as a tool. A powerful tool, but still a tool. It needs to be guided by us and our values.
It's a powerful idea, using AI to make the world better for everyone.
It is, but it's a challenge. And we have to be optimistic, but also realistic. Amadeus thinks we're up to the task, but only if we remember that AI needs to work for all of us.
Okay, so we've got AI potentially changing everything. Healthcare, how our brains work, even how long we live. But there's this one question I keep coming back to. What happens to us? In a world where AI can do almost anything better and faster, what's our purpose? Are we all just going to sit around watching cat videos while the algorithms run the show?
That's the big question, isn't it? And Amadeus actually addresses this head-on. He reminds us that humans have gone through these big shifts before. Think about the agricultural revolution or the industrial revolution. Every time, people thought machines would make humans irrelevant.
Yeah, good point.
But we adapted.
We always find a way.
Exactly. Amadeus says this is just another one of those moments.
Okay, but this time feels different, you know? I mean, if AI can write music, design buildings, even do surgery, what's left for us?
Amadeus thinks we might need to rethink our whole idea of work.
Okay, I'm listening.
He says just because AI can do something better doesn't mean we can't still enjoy doing it ourselves. Like take sports. Most of us aren't professional athletes, right?
Definitely not me.
But we still play sports for fun.
Right, I'm never going to be in the NBA, but I still like shooting hoops.
Exactly. Amadeus' vision is that AI frees us from boring jobs.
So we have more time for things we actually enjoy.
Yeah, more time for hobbies, being creative, spending time with people.
That does sound kind of utopian. But how do we pay the bills if no one has to work?
That's a big question. And Amadeus brings up a few ideas. One thing he mentions is universal basic income.
UBI. Yeah, I've heard of that.
It would give everyone a financial safety net.
No matter what they do for a living, or even if they work at all.
Right. Amadeus also brings up this really out there idea from science fiction.
Oh, what's that?
It's called woofie. It's like this system where people earn social currency based on helping others.
Woofie. Okay, so like internet points, but in real life.
Kind of. But it's more about recognizing all the ways people contribute to society, even if it's not through a traditional job.
So like taking care of family, volunteering, even just making art.
Exactly. Things that have value, even if you don't get paid for them.
I mean, it sounds nice in theory, but I can also see how that could get really complicated.
Definitely.
Right.
And Amadeus not saying any of these solutions are perfect.
Yeah, there's no easy answer.
But the point is, we need to start thinking differently.
Yeah.
AI could change how we think about work altogether.
So instead of being scared of a future without jobs, we should be figuring out how to make work more about purpose and fulfillment.
Exactly. It's a big shift. But throughout history, big changes haven't just been about technology. They've been about society changing too.
It's like we're at one of those turning points now.
We have to reimagine what's possible for ourselves and for everyone.
Okay, so we've talked about health, the mind, work. But Amadeus also talks about something that feels really urgent right now. AI and peace. Can AI actually make the world more peaceful?
It seems counterintuitive, right? AI, technology, all that usually makes people think of conflict.
Yeah, killer robots and all that.
But Amadeus actually thinks AI could be a force for peace.
Okay, I'm really curious to hear how this works.
He starts by saying technology itself is neutral. It's a tool.
So like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Exactly.
It all comes down to who's holding the tools and what they do with them.
Amadeus' point is that AI can promote peace.
If we use it the right way.
He lays out this plan he calls the Entente strategy.
The Entente strategy. Sounds intense.
It's about democratic countries using their AI to create a more peaceful world.
So using AI to promote things like human rights and international cooperation.
Exactly. Imagine AI systems that could stop cyber attacks or monitor nuclear weapons.
Or even predict where conflicts might break out before they happen.
Yeah, like an early warning system, but for war instead of natural disasters.
Okay, that's pretty impressive.
And it's not just about countries, it's about people, too.
So AI that helps regular people.
Amadeus talks about using AI to make democracies stronger.
Give me an example.
Imagine AI tools that help us fight misinformation.
So people can make up their own minds based on facts?
Exactly. Or AI that helps hold our leaders accountable.
It's almost like AI could give people more power.
That's the idea. MOD thinks AI could lead to more transparency, accountability, and participation.
So instead of just a few people in charge, it's more democratic.
Exactly.
It's a hopeful idea at a time when things feel kind of bleak. But I have to ask, what about the bad guys? What's to stop them from using AI for bad things?
That's huge concern. MOD doesn't ignore that at all. He says the Entente strategy only works if the good guys have the best AI. It's like a race, but not for weapons. It's a race to build the most responsible and beneficial AI.
So the stakes are pretty high.
It's about the future of peace and democracy, maybe even civilization as we know it.
There's a lot to think about.
But it's also a reminder that we have a choice.
We're not just along for the ride.
MOD's whole point is that the future isn't set in stone. We make choices today that shape what happens tomorrow.
It's not about hoping for the best. It's about actually making it happen.
Exactly. We have to be involved in shaping the AI future,
So AI doesn't control us, but empowers us.
where peace and progress aren't just dreams, but goals we're actively working toward.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. AI curing diseases, making us smarter, even promoting world peace. It's a lot to process. Honestly, it's kind of hard to believe it could all actually happen.
Well, it's definitely a best-case scenario. And MOD even says that himself.
So it's not all sunshine and roses then?
I mean, there are always challenges with any new technology,
Mhm.
especially something as powerful as AI.
So where does Emma draw the line between optimism and reality?
That's the thing. His optimism isn't naive or anything. He knows AI could be dangerous, but he also sees the incredible potential
So it's not about being scared of AI, it's about being realistic.
and being proactive.
So where do we even start?
MOD says it starts with how we think about AI.
Okay, so a change in perspective.
We can't just simplify it to AI as a savior or AI as a destroyer. It's more complicated than that.
Because it's a tool.
Right. And like any tool, it matters who's using it and how.
So how do we make sure AI is used for good?
MOD says it's a team effort. It's not just on the programmers. It's on all of us to figure out how to use AI responsibly.
So that means policymakers, ethicists.
Educators, even everyday people.
We all need to be part of the conversation.
Exactly. If we want a better future with AI, we have to help build it.
It's about taking control of the narrative, right? Not letting fear or hype dictate everything.
And that starts with understanding what AI is and what it can do.
That makes sense, but it feels like a lot for the average person to grasp.
It can feel overwhelming, definitely.
So how do we bridge that gap?
Amade actually asks a really interesting question at the end of his essay.
Oh, what's that?
He asks, what skills will be most important in this rapidly changing world?
So he's saying we need to be ready to adapt.
And learn and evolve.
It's not about everyone becoming programmers, right?
Right. It's about being curious, thinking critically, being open to new ideas.
Basically, being a lifelong learner.
Exactly. And that's important no matter what field you're in.
It's about being ready for whatever the future holds.
And being brave enough to shape that future ourselves.
I like that. So Emma vision of the future, it's optimistic, sure, maybe even a little utopian, but it's also a call to action.
It is.
It's a reminder that we have a say in how this all plays out. It's up to us to make the right choices.
It's not just about AI, really. It's about who we want to be as a society.
And what kind of world we want to leave for the next generation. Well said. This has been a deep dive into machines of loving grace, a look at the positive potential of AI. And as always, we want to leave you with something to think about. What role do you want AI to play in your future? And what can you do today to help shape that future? Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.